Jonathan Perez is a triathlete who weighs 262 pounds, but just 8 months ago he tipped the scales at 400 pounds. He's lost almost 140 pounds, more than a third of his body weight. Now, I'd love to take credit for Jonathan's weight loss, but the thing is, up until early 2022, he had been doing triathlons for years, but he was still gaining weight because of his eating habits. Fortunately, Jonathan was finally able to kickstart his weight loss with bariatric surgery that reduced the size of his stomach, forcing him to change his diet. But unfortunately, most people who take up endurance challenges to lose weight sabotage themselves with a diet that might actually encourage weight gain. So we worked with Jonathan to help fix that for you here today by letting you in on the successful and the unsuccessful dietary habits of a real person who's overcome the weight loss challenges so many of us face. What's up, Motivator? My name is Taryn. When real people want to accomplish something personally amazing in endurance sports, they choose Motive training plans. Let's do it. Originally, the plan for this video was to provide training tips for athletes looking to lose weight. But when I talked to Jonathan, he said that it really all comes down to nutrition and hydration. Yes, it is simply calories in, calories out, and a matter of taking in fewer calories than we use. But there are ways that we can make that equation easier or harder on ourselves and make sure that we're not setting ourselves up for failure down the road. The first thing we have to do to lose weight is huge, but it's counterintuitive to the calories in versus calories out equation. It is never skip a meal, especially when you're exercising hard. A lot of people will skip meals or intermittent fast to reduce their calorie intake. They'll particularly do this before or after exercise because it often just doesn't feel good to eat at these times. But in the long run, this will sabotage our progress for a couple of reasons. First, you'll be hungrier later on and be much more likely to binge eat. Sure, you might say that you've got enough willpower to overcome those cravings, and this might be true for a few days or even weeks, but eventually you'll crack and eat way more than you should. The second problem with this is that if you are depriving yourself of calories around when you exercise, you're not giving your body the fuel it needs to perform. So your body is more likely to reduce the amount of calories you burn to the point at which it's tremendously hard to ever be in a weight loss calorie deficit. So eat a lot. Jonathan's second tip is an easier way to get yourself into a calorie deficit without starving yourself. It's to eat a lot of protein, but not for the reason that you think. Protein is the most satiating macronutrient, so it's very filling. Have you ever tried to overeat hard-boiled eggs or chicken breast? Good luck. You'll feel fuller sooner by eating plenty of protein. Protein also has a high thermic effect of food. So your body is using as much as 25% of the calories that you're consuming when you eat protein just to digest it. So not only will you eat fewer calories, but eating lots of protein also means that you're burning more calories. Finally, protein is also important because as you're exercising, it's what allows you to rebuild. Jonathan uses a lot of protein shakes that sit in the fridge for him, ready with 30 grams of protein and just 1 gram of sugar. Bonus tip from Jonathan, eat lots of vegetables. They're very high in nutrients and fiber, and if you think the 25% thermic effect of protein is great, fiber is even better because you only really absorb 50% of the calories that you consume from fiber. We're talking a lot about calories here, but hydration will make a big difference in how many calories you consume. A huge thing that new runners and triathletes underestimate is to not forget to hydrate a lot, especially for heavier athletes. Heavier athletes will sweat more during exercise, getting more dehydrated, which can lead to hunger, cravings, and overeating later in the day. But don't use super sugary sports drinks. Stick to a water or light electrolyte drink with just 10 grams of sugar per serving or less. This will keep your insulin response low so you can continue to burn calories while you're exercising much more easily. The next tip from Jonathan will make perfect sense to you when you hear it, but most people don't actually do it. You need to match your calorie intake to the needs of the day. Most people tend to eat the same thing day in, day out, give or take a couple hundred calories. But how many calories you burn will vary by as much as 1,000 calories per day when you're following a proper training plan. For example, a long endurance run workout might burn as much as 3,000 calories, while a recovery bike day might only burn 200 calories. Jonathan says that on days when you have long training, be sure to give the body the fuel that it needs and vice versa. Don't overeat on the rest days and the easy days. That's why in our app, we provide the exact recommended nutrition alongside every single workout so that you can maximize the effectiveness of that workout and give your body the proper amount of calories to do so. Finally, this last training tip can have a huge effect on what you eat throughout the day. Make sure that low intensity running is truly low intensity. Before you say this isn't about nutrition, it is. Most people don't perform their easy workouts easy enough, pushing the intensity slightly into the moderate intensity effort zone where you start to accumulate a higher stress response and more stress hormones. Those stress hormones stimulate hunger and cravings, so when you push a little too hard in those workouts, you're more likely to eat more than you should later in the day. I know that it's often hard for heavier athletes to run at a low heart rate, so turn those low intensity runs into hikes, keeping that heart rate very, very low, keeping your hunger low alongside it. If you take only one thing from this video, it's to not deprive yourself of food as you're running to lose weight. Eat and drink lots, from protein, veggies, and water or electrolytes to control your hunger, and a good training plan will take care of the rest. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss weekly endurance training tips with the Motive Method that is designed specifically for age group athletes who want to accomplish something amazing in endurance sports despite the obstacles real life throws in the way. Finally, as you start training, one of the most important and difficult things you will have to learn is how to run at a low heart rate. Click the video that's on the screen now, which provides our complete system for how you can dial in your correct heart rate training zones and make those heart rate runs easier as you start doing them. Later, motivators.